Welcome to another edition of Gen XYZ, where we talk about the generational differences in the workplace with people from three generations. And I'm Pete, and I'm the Gen Xer.
I'm Peter. I'm the millennial, the Gen Y.
What a miserable generation, if you ask me. I'm Ashley. I'm the Gen Zer, the more happier generation.
The happy generation. Is that
I don't
really
think.
what you're known for, Ashley? Is Gen Z really known for being the happy generation?
Yeah, Gen Z is not the happy generation. I don't know where you got that from.
We try to be, we're striving to be hopeful because, times are tough.
we don't agree on a lot generationally, except I think everyone consistently agrees that Gen X, of course, is the best generation. We don't have the issues that you guys have, so we can agree on that.
That's why everybody forgets about you guys. It goes boomers and then millennials, and there's a generation in between there. I didn't even know.
That's right. Well, we exist. So today's topic is something that we haven't talked about on our show before, which is how to help college students take advantage of networking opportunities. Is that something you guys were thinking about while you were in school?
So it was to a certain degree, but I'm actually glad that we're talking about this one because I feel like it's really important, particularly for Gen Zers, anybody who kind of came out of school COVID on, because that's like a huge topic right now is like people not networking, people not building interpersonal relationships to the same degree that they used to. The joke is like nobody meets in person anymore, everything's online. So I think this is a really good topic actually to talk about, networking in general, and particularly for Gen Zers post COVID.
As a Gen Zer who endured COVID in college and is a recent graduate, I wouldn't say so recent anymore, but we have a lot to say. So I'm excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, today you can get away with not doing it at all. In my day, since I'm the old guy here, nothing was online. There was no internet in your room. We didn't have cell phones, so that interaction you could say was forced back then. But it's all we knew, so we didn't have an alternative. But now it's the opposite, where you could feel like you're never bored without ever leaving your dorm room if you're a college student. Then that's not good, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, we live in the time of instant apply, mass job, sending your resume out to different people, even dating apps. Like it is a thing that people don't meet face to face. People have trouble connecting with others. So it just makes sense that networking is something that's probably diminished a little bit in recent years.
Well, let's bring it back. Let's help current college students. Let's use our collective wisdom from what worked for me when I was in school to what you crazy millennials did. And Ashley, you have obviously the most recent experience because you've had to live through this and figure out how to overcome it to do your own networking. So Ashley, where should we start?
Well, most importantly, if you want to network, you got to interact with peers. That's the most important thing. Now, if you're in class, you're probably shy. Some of you are introverts. You don't want to talk to other classmates, but you're going to miss an opportunity right there. Get to know the classmates around you because you never know who they might be connected to, if they can get you a career in the future or if they can give you, some advice. Talk to a class.
And while your peer group may not be of much direct value to your career while you're in school, because you're all in the same situation, you're all going to continue to progress as you get older. And that's something, my Gen X wisdom can impart here, where my peers when I was 20, they weren't doing a whole lot. But now that we're a little bit older, 50 or maybe a little bit older than that, we're all doing different things, and our collective networks can benefit each other. And that's one of the really cool things. So take advantage of that time while you're in school where you have the time. That's really the word that I want to latch on to here, because you as your life goes on, your time becomes limited, and so you can't really spend as much of it generating new friends and just spending time with peers. So do that while you can. Take full advantage of a lot of people being in your situation.
That's right. And now another effective strategy for networking, I would say, is joining clubs. Now, again, as a Gen Zer who had to endure COVID in college, well, let me tell you, I only had the opportunity to join clubs and be involved on campus like that my first 2 years of college. The last 2 years, it was all online, and people didn't feel as open to attend when it was online because they thought it was a waste, it wasn't as efficient, so they just didn't go. But my personal story and experience, I I joined a sorority. That was a good way to meet people, and especially when we were doing our philanthropy, which was breast cancer, we'd attend events and we'd be able to talk to different people. And again, connections, connections. Not a lot of people will join a club or attend events like that. And that's going to hurt you in the long run because then who are you going to connect with when you're a post grad? It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, clubs have a lot of the same benefits as what we had talked about earlier, where you go out with your peers and just meet them because you don't know, how that's going to affect, who you're networking down the line. They might know somebody else. Clubs are great, especially for I tell shy people who are shy. If you're not somebody who likes to go out and doesn't feel comfortable just going up and talking to somebody on their own, you have a structured environment. You have a set either goal or a shared interest. So clubs are a really great way to kind of force a conversation. Say it's I did, intramural sports. At the very least, you like that same sport. So you're there for the same purpose. Conversations come up organically. So I think it's a really good place to kind of almost jumpstart conversations.
Yeah, when you're on a big campus, you might be surprised to learn how many people share your interests. And there's a club for almost every interest that someone could have, no matter how specific or unique it might be. Peter, you mentioned sports. Ashley, you mentioned sorority. So Greek life is usually prevalent on big campuses, but it goes down. There's probably Dungeons and Dragons clubs. There's chess clubs. There's different societies for academics as well as social interests. So look at what your college has to offer. I mean, that's something that Ashley, you mentioned that so many people can get away with not doing this at all, and you can. Those 4 years or more can go by in a blink. So you do have to make a conscious effort to get involved. And most clubs really welcome involvement from people. They need members. They need participation. So even if it's outside of your comfort zone, college is a time to get uncomfortable. You'll benefit from it.
I'll say when I was in high school, I was a huge introvert. And because of college, I became a huge extrovert. And thank God, because it's hard when you're an introvert. I can't imagine. That's why, just like job fairs, if you want to network, go to events. They're huge. The first event I went to my freshman year was a barbecue that they had on the lawn. And I met so many friends there, and all these friends had different aspirations. We talked about what their parents did as a career. Another way to tap into your network, you can ask their parent, how did you get to this job? How can I get there? And then you can think about it. Is this something you want to keep pursuing in college? You can change your major. Events are huge.
Yeah, I went to UCF in Orlando, and they had events all the time. And just like a club or just like any other thing, that it's a structured environment. So it kind of forces you out there. It's really great to bring your friends to go hang out to. There's lots of free stuff. We always went and got free food, free T-shirts. I'm a sucker for a free T-shirt. So I went to even just stuff like there were bands that would come, and the school would host these big events with concerts and stuff, and it was fun to go to because I would meet friends and then they would bring their friends, and it greatly expanded my social circle, and to the point where there's a few people that I met as friends of friends this day. It's 10, 15 years later, and as Pete had said, they are now, one of them is a doctor, one of them is a lawyer. Like, these are people that while at the time they were just college students with me, like, they are somebody useful who I can go to for advice about these things. And it's all, so if you stop thinking of networking as like a purely business related transaction and just getting to know people, it becomes much easier.
That's a great point. It's not about networking for a specific purpose or goal. You don't have to get something out of it other than just new relationships. And those are so valuable and enjoyable, right? It's college. Enjoy yourself while you're there. Don't just stick your nose in a book and stay in the library. Even the smallest campuses have events that really have an opportunity for everyone to participate in. So get out of your comfort zone. I'll say that again. That's probably the biggest thing. Ashley, you nailed it. You said you were an introvert in high school, and through college you became an extrovert, and I bet you've had a lot more fun since.
A lot more fun. I was able to talk to a bunch of cool people and join a bunch of things, and also help other introverts become extroverts because they always say every introvert needs their extrovert. They don't go to the club alone, they have someone there with them, helps them, with any event, they're there.
All right, guys, let me tackle this next one if I can. Let me start with this. And that is, take advantage of your college's career center. Every college has one. And for the college career centers we've interacted with, they all think they're doing a great job for their students. They take a lot of pride in that. So take advantage of it. Force them to do a great job for you. The only people who are going to benefit from the college career centers are the ones who go and ask for help. So if you sit back and wait, you may not even know they exist, but every college has one.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of value, and you pay for the experience, you might as well use it. So go there. There's tons of resources. So even if you don't use all of them, at least know about them and know which ones are useful to you. So yeah, if you're paying for it, make sure you're using it.
As someone with experience who has used it before, I will say I was happy because I didn't know what major I wanted to, have, and I kept changing. Then finally, career services helped me pick something that was right for me. And not only that, it seems like everyone who comes out of career services, whether they're trying to, need some help networking or building a LinkedIn profile or again trying to find what major works best for them, they come out super, super successful, excited, and ready for the workforce.
Yeah, they exist to help students, right? There's nothing better than that. Where as life as life goes on, you won't have those free resources to take advantage of. You won't have a group that exists just to help you. So take advantage of it while you can.
Yeah, so I know we've talked a lot about in-person type stuff, but I do want to bring up that online resources are huge. Particularly, this is an area that's particularly interesting to me because I've played games online for forever, it seems like, and I have friends that I've never met in person, but I know about them professionally. There's things like subreddits for your college, for your area, for even just interests that your career area or just things you're interested in. There's Discord forums. There's all sorts of things, particularly for somebody who is inclined, maybe for the introvert, since Ashley's saying that everybody should try to be extrovert. I'm a little bit more introverted actually so I appreciate this. This is an area that think outside the box. This isn't, you don't only have to meet people in person. Try to build those connections, ask questions. People love to help others online, if no other reason other than just to correct them when they're wrong. So you can meet tons and tons of really cool people online. So that's an area that's not to be neglected.
So, yeah, introverts, if you are struggling to network out there, online forums, Facebook groups, they're the best way to go. There's a bunch of Facebook groups out there for different careers. There's even like virtual clubs if you want to attend them where you can talk about your passions and aspirations and any hobbies. So, go join them because you will meet cool people that can connect you.
And that's such a good point that you made, Ashley. It's a more comfortable place to start than just showing up somewhere publicly if you don't have anyone to go with. Take advantage of the safety and security of being online. And a lot of those online friendships do carry over, as Peter said, to real world friendships. So even someone old like me could appreciate that. I get it. And I think it's really cool that you don't have to force yourself into uncomfortable situations. I think you should, but you don't have to. So a lot of great opportunities exist for online relationships too. All right, Ashley, what's next?
Well, since we're talking about online, create a LinkedIn profile. That's the biggest place to go and connect with other people, and you get the latest news and information on different careers. That's the place to be.
I engage with a lot of recent grads, and it's shocking to me in 2024 how many of them don't have a substantive LinkedIn profile. They may have one, but there's nothing on it. They don't have a headline. They don't have an about us section. They have very few connections. This is probably the easiest way to network professionally before you get into your profession is to take advantage of LinkedIn. It is, we use the word cheat code at times, and LinkedIn is a cheat code in the truest sense for being in, for giving you the ability to get in touch with people you'd otherwise never get to interact with.
Yeah, recruiters use LinkedIn. So it's one of those things that you can just set it up. If you have a good LinkedIn, first of all, you're already ahead of say 80, 90% of your peers. But having a good LinkedIn is one of those things that works for you. Set it up, have a good presence on there, connect with some people in your industry. But say you're in finance and you want to get into a finance, make that very clear on your profile. Recruiters who are looking for people entry level to go into that field, they're going to be able to find you easy. They're going to reach out to you. So that's one of those things that you can just kind of set it and forget it almost. As long as you've got it completely filled out and you've got your clear objectives, that's an area that's really easy to kind of set up and set yourself up for success.
I'll say, as a Gen Zer too, with recent college experience, I was not one that started networking on LinkedIn right away in college. I had no idea what it was. I mean, in class, they said, hey, build a LinkedIn profile. We open it up, we create an account, but we have no instruction from then on. So we kind of just give up on it. And when I entered the workforce, I was like, wow, like I can't believe how many people actually use this thing. And all of the college students that actually continued and made an effort to try and make it work to figure it out on their own, they had so many connections after they graduated. They were ready to go. They were ready to start looking for a job.
All right. So next up, guys, talk a little bit about internships. Now, before you share any specific thoughts, I want to ask your opinion on paid versus unpaid. I encourage people to pursue unpaid internships. It will open doors for you that will otherwise not be there. But what do you think about that? It's not necessarily the most popular thought these days.
I feel like nowadays a lot of maybe the Gen Zers started it because I feel like there were still a couple millennials that didn't mind unpaid internships, but Gen Zers, when I have a couple college kids asking me, "Hey, can I have an internship?" A lot of them ask, "Is it paid? Can it be paid?" When I say no, they drop like flies. There's only one that I found that was willing to do unpaid, and I'm like, she's gonna have a good start.
So I tend to think of paid versus unpaid in one of two ways. If it is an unpaid internship, that is okay if the candidate, the person looking for the job is asking to do it. It's not something that you as if you're an employer, that's not something that you would advertise. If you advertise an internship, I would think it's generally going to be paid because you're advertising it like a job. If you expect somebody to do work for free, you could say experience pays but it doesn't pay the bills. I think that's something that's fine accepting. If somebody is like, hey, really want to break into this industry, I'm willing to work for free for you. That I think that's perfectly fine, but I don't think it should be something that employers should be like advertising.
I encourage young people, my own kids included, right? So I'll practice what I preach here to take advantage of working in great opportunities for free if you can be exposed to things you otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to be exposed to.
I will say be open to both unpaid and paid internships. It wouldn't hurt to do unpaid and it wouldn't hurt to do paid because the most important thing at the end of the day is having something to slap on your resume when you graduate. Because coming from personal experience, I did not have an internship in college. And that is my biggest regret because I graduated with no internships on my resume. And let me tell you, it's already hard out there to find a job. It's even harder if your resume does not have a lot of good stuff on it.
How
So
valuable would have been for you, Ashley, to have 6 months of practical work experience relevant to the profession you were pursuing in marketing? I think it's like gold. And we end up talking to a lot of new grads who are so desperate to have some relevant experience. I mean, it's great that you work full time, but if you were a server in a restaurant, that doesn't do anything for you professionally if you're pursuing a marketing job. It's not going to stand out. And to your point, this very competitive environment that we're in. So we end up talking to people about side projects, personal projects. So I don't want to get off topic of internships, but the more relevant experience you can have, however you obtain it on your resume coming out, the better off you're going to be. But yes, of course, if you can get paid for an internship, that's the best route.
So, Pete, how do you feel then about this? Kind of goes hand in hand with internships, informational interviews, where you can sit down with somebody in the industry and ask them questions and say, how did you get from where I'm at to where you're sitting? Like, how do you feel about that?
I think if you are young, any opportunity you have to build a relationship with someone experienced is like gold, and you should take full advantage of it. And what I also know to be true, again, this is the old guy talking here, is people my age generally love when young people come to them asking for their wisdom or advice or help, and they'll gladly give it. Even the busiest people will often stop and give 15, 20, 30 minutes to a young professional to let their brain be picked because it's an ego stroke. Let's be honest. It makes us feel good. It makes us feel, but we also like to help young people. It's human nature. So, informational interviews where you approach someone with experience and ask if you can learn about their it's an inverse interview, right, where you're there to learn, not to for someone to learn from you. It's a great opportunity that students should definitely take advantage of.
How do you how do you set this up?
So we talked about career centers a little bit. If your college career center is strong, and they are not all created equally, I will say that from my experience. But if you want an informational interview in a field you're thinking of pursuing, an industry you don't know much about, start with your college career center. Go to them, ask if there's any resources or tools that they have to help you set that up. But otherwise, take advantage of your personal network, your friends' parents, right? Friends of your parents. These are all people that you should be leveraging while you're in school because your personal network is your professional network at that point. And then go to LinkedIn. Seek out the people that you want to be in touch with and just introduce yourself to them. I mean, it's a really easy way to connect with people you otherwise wouldn't have access to.
And I'll say maybe one last networking tip. You shouldn't be networking as if it's like you're asking someone for a favor. You have to build a relationship. You have to get to know that person and they have to get to know you. I feel like sometimes people think it's just like, "Hey, your mom works at this company. Can she get me a job here?" Most times that mom is going to be like, "What is this about them? Like, what are their goals? Where do they go to school?" They want to know the person. And if you're just asking for that favor, it's that's not networking the right way.
It,
What do you think
it's
about that, Peter?
it's building interpersonal skills, which is, by the way, one of the most important skills that you can have in your entire career. It does not matter the industry. So being able to interact with people, being able to get yourself, like we had said earlier, out of your comfort zone. It's like working out. It's going to be hard, but you need to push yourself. Do a little bit more each time you do it. You'll start to feel more confident. You'll start to feel more comfortable. So being able to, not think of it as a job or as a chore and just going out there, talking to people. And then as things come up organically, not being afraid to say, hey, do you, you so-and-so, your girlfriend works in this industry. Do you think that they could introduce me to this person? Or do you think I could ask them a few questions about it? Don't think of it as that's my biggest thing. Don't think of it as networking, so to speak. Just think of it as having conversations with people and following, where the topic goes.
Yeah, asking someone to take action and to do something for you, like help me get a job, that's a little much. But if you ask for their insight or guidance, I think that's perfectly appropriate and necessary, right? Because you're starting from scratch. You have to start somewhere. And people know that young folks, even saying the word folks shows how old I am. People know that young folks don't have a lot of professional relationships, and so they do have to build them one at a time. So ask for insight, ask for guidance, and I think that'll be really well received generally.
Yeah, I think there's been studies that have shown that helping someone makes you like them more. Like if you do it seems counterintuitive almost, but doing somebody a favor makes you intuitively, because you feel good about yourself. Like Pete had said, it's an ego boost. It makes them feel good about you also. So asking for those help, genuinely listening and genuinely taking their advice, not just doing it to seem nice, but actually listening to somebody and actually asking what they think. People love to do that, and I have found for the vast majority that people like to help people.
Well, awesome, you guys. Okay, so thanks for hanging with us. If you've gotten this far today, should we run down these tips one more time before we go? Should we do it? You think we can pull that off?
Think so?
All right. So
Uh,
first thing you should do, or one thing you should do in particular, is interact with your peers. You want to join clubs, take advantage of what campus offers. So attend events on campus as well. Visit your school's career center. Make them help you. Participate in online events and groups that exist. Get busy on LinkedIn. Take advantage of it while you're in school. Create your profile. Invite connections. Use it fully. Internships, as we've been talking about a lot, participate in those. And then finally, set up informational interviews. We believe strongly that people who are experiencing their career love to help young, ambitious people. So ask and you'll get great help. So that's it. Anything else, you guys?
I think that's
That's
it.
All right. And that's a wrap on this week's Gen XYZ. Thanks for joining.
See you next
Thanks,
time.
guys.